Hi everyone, my name is Theorose and I am doing this recording as part of my book review for Advanced Qualitative Research. I hope you find this interesting and I hope that you react with all the questions that you have to this book. So, the book I'm reviewing today is written by Robert Kozinets and it's called Netnography. Basically, it's a guidebook to doing qualitative social media research. I find this book very interesting and I love it. Basically, because I love social media research. I've always kind of look forward to conducting social media research. I have done some in my coursework, and so I love how um, how complex it could be to gather data using social media as your source. And so I find this book very useful. One of so the book is I think 13 or 15 chapters long, but some of the things that he spoke about basically was to introduce what ethnography is and to differentiate between how this is different from some of the terms that we have heard, like cyber ethnography or online research. He also just gave a general overview of what social media research or communication research in general is in the 21st century, and basically also looked into how we can collect data, or how social media could be our data collection side, and what that means when it comes to methodology and things like that. Um, so when he spoke about ethnography, one of the things that he stood out, and one of the quotes which I took directly from his book, is the fact that ethnography is specifically a qualitative research. So again, is that it's more prone to qualitative than it is to other methods such as quantitative or mixed method. And it's similar to conducting a physical ethnography, if you know. And so, okay, so let me backtrack. At an ethnography, sorry, it's where a researcher immerses him or herself into um, the environment where the person is collecting the data from, become part of them, and collect the data within the process. So in ethnography study, you see people staying in a community and living there for 10 or 20 years, or even working in a particular workplace and building bonds and becoming part of the workplace employees and things like that in order to collect data. So he used the same concept but move it online, where doing ethnography, you immerse yourself into, say, chat rooms or groups on social media platform, and become part of them whilst you collect your data and go about your research work as well. Of course, he did spoke about the ethical implication of that and how to negotiate that into the book as well. And hopefully, in subsequent slides, I would touch on that as well. He also emphasized the fact that in ethnography, there is a need to reflect on the network that you build for yourself. So the people that you follow on social media, the community groups that you join, as well as just generally knowing how social media network work as well. I took this slide from the book because I felt that it's going to communicate more than I would. But aside all that I had mentioned in the previous slides about the fact that ethnography takes on the form of ethnography and try to immerse itself in online spaces. We also learn, or I also learned from the book, that ethnography deals with interactive data, and so we would be looking at collecting data on platforms such as YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp, and TikTok, and all, even the video conferencing platforms. You could have smaller samples where you're looking at just a page of somebody, or you could take an individual on a social media platform and kind of investigate that person. So, for instance, when you take me and you're treating me as an individual, it means you'll be looking at my social media accounts and find out what comment I post, for example, or how I react, or the things I share on my page. That is different from smaller sample, where smaller sample could be that you pick two or three different people and say just one of their social media accounts. So you could pick me, you could pick my friends, you could pick yourself, and then just like say you're going to collect data on just our Facebook pages as well. um it's so unstructured. There's no one way of collecting data. There are so many ways that you could collect data based on how the platform is set up and how you want to go about it and things like that. One of the things that stood out to me more was the emotional reality that comes with doing ethnography. So one of the things that I haven't thought about before reading the book, obviously, was the place of emotion in it. Because also I know that as researchers, we need to be reflexive, and we also need to keep our emotions in check. But also, Robert made the case that you may come across like a post or something on somebody's page, and it's so difficult to kind of denote or explain what the person or the emotion the person is trying to communicate or to put out there. But these are some of the things, or these are some of the checkers that makes netnography what it is. So basically, netnography is ethnography plus the internet. So you have the two together, which you can see on top of the slides as well. He also made me understand that unlike other researchers who use the words like cyber ethnography, he did mention that there have been so many books written on cyber ethnography or online research where there are no clear cut of what exactly it is and how it should be done. So he came with a 3E recipe where he said that ethnography actually give you the direct instructions, sort of like a recipe on how to follow it to conduct a good research. And one of the E's, or the area of the E, is on data collection. And I love that because I also got it's very simple to follow. It's quick to, like, once you follow the step, you basically know how to do online research. And one of the things that he said within the data collection is the first thing to ever do is to learn to turn your research questions into a searchable idea. So for instance, when you're doing a research on maybe your research question is, how do graduate student in Kent State University use Facebook as their learning platform? That is a long thing. If you type that research question into Google, for example, it will be very hard for you to get a response. And so what you have to learn to do first of all is to even break that research question into keywords that can be searched, right? So the first thing you have to do even before you start to collect your data is to change the research questions into searchable terms. But once you've done that, the first step in the 3 E's is your data collection. The first one is to search, right? So search the platform you are looking for, search who you want to collect the data on, search all the databases for the information you need, and then you need to select from them. Then the next thing in the data analysis portion would be, first of all, you can count the the data that you've collected. It could be the maybe you're collecting data on social media posts, or the number of times somebody has commented on a post. You could count that. You could put them into chat and things like that. And then finally, you could, in terms of data presentation or interpretation, you could put that in themes, or you could translate them for a non-research person to understand what that means as well. Why is this important to you that you're watching the video? If you're like me, who finds it so difficult to um, um, select data that is very useful, I find the 3 E's very important, because it kind of helped me to know what to do and how to go about it, and where to start even from, and what the next steps are. When it comes to data collection as well, he did give five different ways of stages of doing that. And so the first one, which I said earlier, um, is simplification, which basically means that you need to turn your research questions into a simple searchable words and keywords or phrases that can be used. Once you've simplified that, you can then search for it on the internet or all the databases. And once you've done your searching, you can start scooting the information, and then you can make a careful decision as to which of the data is important for you to use and which one is not really related to your research questions. And then you can save those data later for data analysis as well. Why is it important to simplify? I think at this stage, hopefully, as graduate student, we all know how complex it could be when you have a lot of data and you simply don't know where to start from. Imagine that you have downloaded um, somebody's social media interaction for over the past 10 years. That's a lot amount of data to analyze. The 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 trickish, in my own opinion, part of doing social media research is that, especially on an individual is that uses social media a lot, is the fact that you could have so much data that you don't know where to start from. And so I was still stressed on the fact that when you get your research question, the first thing you even need to do, aside putting in your RB and other things, the first thing you need to do is to turn your research questions into searchable terms. I'm sorry, I cannot not stretch it enough. Turn your research questions into searchable research terms. It would even help you to get the information pulled out easily, and also help you to know how to thematically arrange your data as well. Now, how do you, I think I've spent so much time talking about ethnography, what you need to do, what you don't need to do, how to go about it. How do you engage participant in ethnography? Remember at the beginning I did mention that ethnography means ethnography and internet. However, there is a point where you could physically interact with people within ethnography. When I read the page, it came out as surprising because in my mind, ethnography means you're going to spend all the time on social media. How then do we react or relate with a person? But before I get to that, Robert also did mention that there are so many strategies that you can get to engage with your participant physically or through their online chat. One of them is through intellectual engagement, where you relate with the content they post. So you're not relating with a human being, but you're relating with their tweet, their post, their comment, their writings on the internet, and things like that. The the second thing to do is to relate to them on a cultural basis, where maybe you belong to a particular group or you see them share so much on in a cultural behavior that you're familiar with. You could start to relate with them in that area by either posting or sharing on their post or trying to get to know them through that lens. Another way to get to know them is through their historic engagement. What have they engaged in so far? What chat group are they part of? What have they shared on the internet? What have been their trend? You could see that through what they post and where their name is mentioned or things like that. Another way to engage them, which I still find very um, surprising and trickish also as well, is where he mentioned emotional engagement. Is the fact that he didn't mention that you can engage with um, the people or the people you're trying to collect data from on an emotional basis. Maybe you guys are part of a grieving group, or they share things that you could relate with. And finally is social engagement. Social engagement ranges um, from event, they commenting on event or sharing videos, or you could all meet on the chat forum of a YouTube video, and you're all kind of engaging on that side. So in case you're looking, I mean, these strategies as researchers kind of help you to know where and how to collect your data, basically. Now, how do you collect the data? Remember, I said earlier that in the book, he did mention that there could be a physical part of ethnography. So he did mention that you could collect data through interview, where you first of all recruit participants through social media, then follow up with interview. And you could do interview via Skype, Google Meet, Teams, Zoom, and all the video conferencing platforms that we have. Of course, the book also details out how to collect how to go about those interview and the risk and how to develop those protocol as well. You could also keep digital diaries, and so this one doesn't have to do with individuals as a whole, but you keeping digital diary means you have your own blog page or your own online page where you kind of like collect your data from Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and keep it there, just like how you keep a normal physical diary. I would say he didn't say that, but I think it's also I would want to term it as online memoing. Remember, like when we're doing our physical observation and things like that, we had like something right in where we're memoing and trying to write our own ideas and things like that. I think, or the understanding I got from reading that is the fact that you could do similar thing, but this time around you do it online, and it could be a blog, it could be your online notebook and things like that. Another option of data collection could would be the researcher getting involved. So in this case, you, for example, you could be part of a Facebook group or a community. I think I kind of he gave so much detail about that. He spoke about reflexivity and immersion, where you need to immerse yourself. What does that mean, and how do you need to seek a gatekeeper approval? Sorry, basically means you have to tell the community or the group you belong to that you are watching them or you are part of them to collect data or things like that. And finally, it's mobile ethnography, where you take screenshot of people's online reaction or their phones and things like that. I did mention or kind of mention immersion, journaling, organizing. So these are some of the ways that you could keep your data, get to know your data better, get to understand your data, reflect on them. Again, I would relate this with what we physically do as memoing and getting to know your data before you write on them. Why is this all important? What do you need to know? I basically what you need to know from reading the book is the fact that ethnography is a unique research or social science research methodology that basically um, adapt ethnography, but this time implement that online or on the internet. You also need to know that collection or data gathering in ethnography could be easy and simple, but also complex and demanding. Easy means that the data is right in front of you. All you have to go is what you have to do is to spend time on social media to get that. But it could also be complex, where you need to immerse yourself and become part of the group to be able to collect your data, build a bond with them. Issues of ethics will come to place, and what sort of information you should include and how you should introduce yourself to the people. Also, that in the book, there are so many different ways of collecting data, from innovative ways to being part of the group to just basically searching the internet for it and just like create getting the information from um people's personal page. um I think that if you follow the 3 E's by breaking down your research into smaller and innovative ways before you search them, then you then search, then you code, you arrange before you delve into the data, it could be easy to conduct. And also, when you immerse yourself into the data and you become part of the data, you should be aware of reflexivity and the ethics that comes with that. Overall, that is what I have learned. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I do hope that you learned something from it. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to interact with my video. Thank you so much.